And the reason they don't have a frame of reference is their minds are so locked on their beliefs that they can't see that there is a broader understanding. And so naturally, you who are spiritual students, you have already been willing to open your minds to a higher understanding on so many areas, on so many things. But what you will find, some of you, is that even though you're open to a new understanding in many areas, there are still a few holy cows walking around in the middle of your consciousness or lying down chewing the cuts, chewing, being perfectly content to chew, and then once in a while they regurgitate your beliefs into their mouth again, and then they chew once more. And this is a separate self that is that way. And so you can have a situation where you have overcome some separate selves already. And you know the process. But there is something you haven't seen. And that's where I submit to you that one way to expose these limited beliefs, these holy cows, could be when you are provoked by a teaching we give. When you are disturbed by something. When there's something that really irks you, really disturbs your comfortability. It isn't necessarily that you see right away the limiting beliefs behind it. You may actually have to do some work on it. But you need to see, why am I disturbed? Why does this provoke me? And then you need to follow that, go beyond the feeling, and then try to see what is the belief you have that makes you comfortable. And the cow is just lying there chewing. And then, what is the higher understanding we are seeking to convey to you? And then when you open your mind to this, you can grasp that higher understanding, because we have said this to you. When you are at the 56th level of consciousness, you can grasp the teaching at the 57th level, or the awareness that is associated with the 57th level. And so, but you have to open your mind. You can't have your mind fixated on a certain belief. And so when you open your mind, you will see it. And if you are willing to acknowledge that your previous belief was limited or wrong, then you can move forward. And so I'm simply saying that some of you are advanced students, and you have followed the path, you have applied the teachings, you have already dismissed a lot of these holy cows. And some of you are sitting there thinking, well, do I have anything left? What beliefs do I have that I'm fixated on, and you don't really see anything? And some of you don't have much left, but I submit that all of you could benefit from at least surveying yourself and saying, is there still anything that disturbs me? For example, when you read the My Lives book, was there something that provoked you? Was there something that disturbed you? Then follow it. Go beyond the feeling. What is the belief behind it? And you will see that there's a cow lying there, chewing. And when you see it, you can say, aha! That's what Saint Germain was talking about. You're out of here. And my beloved, it's our joy to see you go through this process. Do you understand? We're not blaming you. We're not coming across with this, you're not good enough. It's our joy to see when you break through some limited belief and suddenly the weight falls off your shoulders. Like this messenger has described, that even after being on the path for 40 years, all of the teachings, all of the work on psychology that he has done, had never actually touched the core of his primal self. And it wasn't until he received the teachings from Jesus on the primal self this December, just these few months ago, that he really broke through and was able to see something, was able to let it go and feel that a giant weight was lifted from him. He's not even claiming that he's done with this, because he has learned not to make those kind of claims over the years. And so, what I'm saying is this: if a person who has been that long on the path still has some cows chewing away at the cud, then perhaps it would be wise for all of you to say, do I have anything? And is there anything I'm just not seeing? And how could I come to see it? Because truly, I do want to step up to the higher vision of my divine plan. I do want to make maximum progress. I do want to reach that level of consciousness where I can be myself. Another way to discover if you have holy cows is simply this. Do you feel you're being yourself? Do you feel free to express yourself without being afraid of the reaction? Another way is, what is your attitude to the material realm, to this earth? Are you comfortable being here? Do you feel you can express yourself here? Or do you feel some kind of resentment or limitation by being here? Well, again, there is some holy cow there that is holding you back because it is just not moving. And so, follow it, look at it, and admit that was a limited belief. If you can't admit that you have had a limited belief, my beloved, how can you rise to the next level of consciousness? And what have we said? There are 144 levels of consciousness. There is an illusion associated with each level. So, when are you going to be free of all illusions? Well, when you rise to the 144th level and resolve that enigma, so you're ready to ascend. So you could say, what is a very common characteristic in spiritual New Age movements? There is this belief that you can reach some ultimate stage while you're still in embodiment on earth. You are enlightened. You are an ascended master. You are ego-free. You have resolved your psychology. You are home-free. So many people, including this messenger for many years, was thinking that it had to be possible to come to a point where you had worked through your psychology and now you were free of this. And so they are pursuing this goal. But who is it that can sometimes feel that it is home free? You see many people out there who make various declarations, they've overcome the ego, they're enlightened, they're this, they're that. Who is it that's home free? Well, it's their egos. Because now they think they don't no longer have to even look for the ego, because they've already overcome it. And that's when the ego can really lie down and say, now I can relax and chew, because he's never going to see me. He wouldn't even know me if I bit him in the leg, as the saying goes. And so, it is wise to realize that this is an illusion predicted by the fallen beings, magnified by many people who have good intentions, but who just don't have enough understanding of the path. And it is actually possible, as I said earlier, to make a certain decision that brings about a revolutionary shift, where you are no longer longing for this state of being home free while you are in embodiment. You'll be home free when you are ascended. Until then, don't bother pursuing this. Look for the next illusion that will bring you up to the next level of consciousness. That, my beloved, is a revolutionary shift in awareness that those who are truly successful on the spiritual path find a way to make. So they are no longer chasing the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. They are always looking for the next illusion, the next step up, and when they see it, they are willing to admit, hey, that was limited. I was wrong. Not that I was wrong. You find another way to look at it, so you don't even think in terms of right and wrong, but you say, okay, that's got to go. And it just becomes second nature. And it's not something you have to struggle with. Many of you, including this messenger when he was younger, had to struggle severely, sometimes for years, to admit that he had been wrong at a certain point. He can look back and admit this with a smile because he's gone beyond it. And so can you go beyond it. But it may require some work, because in the beginning, the ego will resist you for all it's worth. And you will know, if you have ever been a farmer in a past life, that when a cow decides that it doesn't want to move, there is not many powers in heaven and on earth who can move a cow. And so, my beloved, be willing to wrestle with this, because you will experience an enormous freedom if you can come to the point where you are beyond that resistance and you just admit that it was a limited belief and then you move on. Of course, what do you have to sacrifice there? You have to sacrifice, again, the belief in some ultimate teaching, some ultimate truth, some ultimate understanding that you could have. My beloved, recognize, as we have said, you will not have an ultimate understanding of how the universe works as long as you are an embodiment on a dense matter planet like Earth. It can't be done. So, shift into saying, you have the highest understanding you can have right now, but there's a higher understanding at the next level of consciousness and the next until the 144th level. Strive for that. Always have your mind be liquefied, be open to seeing that higher understanding. And my beloved, when you are open, when you are willing, that is when we can really work with you. And you can come to a point, as this messenger has sometimes sat there and wondered, how incredibly many insights you can receive from within in a very short period of time. And many of you have experienced the same thing, that there are periods in your life where it is as if every day or several times a day you have some revolutionary insight. You have an experience where you suddenly see a whole new perspective. And this can be your daily experience. And it can be a very joyful experience, because at the lower levels where the ego still has some hold over you, the ego is projecting that if you give up an existing belief, you have lost something. It's a struggle. But when you make that shift, you realize, well, giving up an existing belief, a limited belief, can only be a liberation. And that is a joy, a relief, a new level of freedom. It has its own reward. The ego will often ask, and the ego will sometimes seek to make bargains. The ego of the various students might even say to the Ascended Masters, so, Saint Germain, you want me to give up this belief? What's in it for me? What do I get out of this? And there are Ascended Master students who have attempted to make bargains with us. Even saying, if I do this for you, what do I get out of it? And so, my beloved, when you get beyond this, the reward is in the experience. It is built in when you experience greater freedom. That is its own reward. What other reward do you need? I am the master of freedom for earth. I need no other reward than experiencing the flame of freedom and expressing it whenever I have an opportunity. Why have I volunteered to stay with earth and work on manifesting a golden age? What's in it for me? Do I hope to somehow be promoted to a higher level of Ascended Master? Do I think that some cosmic being is going to come down and there's going to be a grandiose ceremony and they're going to hang some kind of medal around my neck? No. The reward is feeling the flow of freedom through my being. Yes, of course, there's an omega aspect. There's also reward in seeing people being free. But the primary reward is just feeling that flow of freedom. And that is why when you come to that point, the reward for your service is the service itself. It's just the experience of feeling the flow. The flow, my beloveds. The flow. It's everything. The ego only knows stillstand, which is death. But the flow is life itself. Therefore, to paraphrase the old words, I have put before you life and death. Choose life. the life that I am.